An action-packed week in Southwest Florida. In this edition of Behind the Headlines, we focus on spin. From politics to basketball, it was make or break. First, in Be Counted, we break down Election Day, both the national primaries and local races, looking at winners and losers and how they spin results.
I think you can dismiss the notion that 1/3 of people voted for that agenda, so I don't think the new council can ignore that going forward.
Then in Spinsiders, we see what Washington experts had to say during a trip to Southwest Florida. Did they peg national politics or were predictions upended? Plus, hoping for hoop dreams, Dunk City turns to Spin City as they make a play for greatness. I'm Amy Osher. Thanks for joining us. We'll also have a commentary from Alan Bartlett. That's all coming up. The political season is shaping up as a spectator sport, culminating this week in Winner Take All Tuesday, bringing out plenty of voters with plenty of opinions, all wanting to be counted. Nationally, November is when things heat up politically, but March Madness overcame people in Southwest Florida, with Trump trumping all other candidates on the Republican side. And for the Democrats, Hillary Clinton freezing out Bernie Sanders, despite many feeling the burn. Locally, 2 new mayors will take over. For Bill Barnett, it's a homecoming after serving in the top spot for 3 terms. City voters turned out en masse, with 62% voter turnout in Naples. But Bonita Springs will also see a new mayor, as Councilman Peter Simmons came away with the majority vote. You can find more in-depth coverage of Election Day by going to naplesnews.com. When you think of winners and losers, the logical place to start is with candidates who either celebrated victory or dealt with defeat. But we wanted to dig deeper and look at the impact Election Day may have on the big picture. In a contest some called Mayor versus Mayor, former Mayor Bill Barnett took on and bested sitting Mayor John Sorey. Naples Daily News columnist Brett Batten follows the action. Looking at their records, the mayors past and present agree on most things. So Batten says it may have come down to style over substance.
Naples likes someone who's mellower, perhaps, someone who's less forceful, less outspoken, yet at the same time represents ideas of improvement.
With the push to move forward, it may be a more cautious pace. Voters supported Barnett, preferring his familiarity and ties to Naples' past.
I hope I'm not insulting Bill, but he's like a comfortable old slipper. Everybody feels good about Mayor Bill.
At the other extreme was Councilwoman Teresa Heitman, who finished second. She provided an alternate vision of no or slow growth, which a vocal segment of the community strongly supported.
There's a lot of polarizing issues, and one is this East Coast versus West Coast state of Florida, state of mind. There's been a lot of recent development, and there's some people that are very pro-development, some others that would like to see the small charm town character of Naples maintained.
With Barnett the winner, it's likely redevelopment wins too, enhancing downtown, moving forward on Baker Park, and embracing concepts like greenways. After all, the voters have spoken.
I think you can dismiss the notion that 1/3 of people voted for that agenda, so I don't think the new council can ignore that going forward.
With 99 delegates at stake, Florida was a treasure chest for presidential hopefuls. So over the past few months, several candidates traveled south to pick up support. For Marco Rubio, it was win or go home. Hard to put a positive spin on this one. Less than 2 hours after the polls closed in Florida, Rubio called it quits, suspending his campaign once it was apparent he would lose Florida in a big way. Despite the good showing on Fifth Avenue in Naples just a week earlier, crowds flocked the Florida candidate, jockeying for pictures or even a glimpse of Rubio. But when push came to shove in their precincts, they backed off their support. Rubio gave up his Senate seat to run for president, truly making it all or nothing. Despite years of party politics, it's the outside candidates shaking things up. It used to come down to what establishment figure made it through the gauntlet, but not anymore. The road to the White House is paved with cast-offs. Even top strategists got caught up in the dust-up. We sat down recently with political consultants James Carville and Mary Madeline to get their take. In this political season, are you having a blast or you find it excruciating?
I'm having fun. I mean, anytime that something is, it's you don't know what's going to happen. You just see one crash after another, and it's particularly fun to have been involved in so many in other cycles, and to be able to watch this one from like 30,000 feet. But it's been unpredictable, and I think it's going to continue to be unpredictable.
I agree with my husband, which might be the last time today, but this is my 11th or 12th, whatever. I think the first presidential campaign I was involved in was 76. So this is absolutely nothing is happening in the way that we learned or experienced. However, some things never change, and I think by the end of this, we'll be able to go back to Socrates or Athens, or there's some things that are never going to change. But this one is thrilling.
I think there's some chance that we might have some lasting changes in this election because, even if Trump and Bernie fade, which most people think will happen, the residue of the aftermath of it is not going to go anywhere. The forces that produce this kind of phenomenon, I think, are going to stick around here for a while.
Which also isn't new in the history of our country.
Both
parties have abandoned their original purpose, or abandoned their base, so to speak. So it's not like we haven't gone through party switches in the past. We are a two-party system because we're a two-philosophy system, and this is the Whigs. I mean, I've been mad at my party. I'm one of those angry Republicans. I'm not taking my anger out by being for Trump, but I would say the same thing in his party. They're not so angry, but there's different kinds of Democrats. Yeah, it's generational, it's also philosophical.
It makes you wonder, what you were saying, are we on a precipice, though, of the grassroots eventually becoming the new establishment of each party, since people seem to be rejecting what we've thought are the candidates that should be moving forward?
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, but honestly, it's evident that people feel like whatever they're getting from their party, from the establishment, is something other than what they want, and it being heard. But other politicians in the future are going to hear what's happened. This is not going to, I don't think this is going to go away by some magic wand. Now, but at the end of the day, we'll probably end up in a fairly traditional general election, but getting there is it's like all of the fun.
Still ahead on Behind the Headlines, Alan Bartlett puts his spin on Election Day. Stay with us for his weekly commentary. It's times like these that could make an editorial editor's head explode, but Alan Bartlett is keeping it together for now. He checks in with our weekly commentary.
Going into 2016, we knew it was going to be a year for political sparring. Round one was the 2016 state legislative session, which ended about a week ago with an $82.3 billion budget and money set aside for Everglades restoration. Round two was Tuesday's presidential primary and city elections in Naples and Bonita Springs. So it's time to say goodbye to some political heavyweights who either decided to retire from the political ring or who got knocked out. But let's take a moment to reflect on the fact these individuals decided to put on the gloves in the first place. At various times in the year, we stop and honor the veterans who have defended our freedoms in this nation and those serving our country now. They deserve lavish praise because they give us a free country. But then it falls to those who have the courage to step up to serve in public office in that free society. With all the scrutiny and criticism that comes with it, sometimes I wonder why anybody even wants to go through it. Whether you oppose them or support them, let's at least take a moment to be thankful they got in the ring for the good fight. This year, we're saying goodbye to State Senator Garrett Richter, a Naples Republican who has served a decade in the legislature and who now retires from the ring due to term limits. Thank you, Senator. Another public official stepping out of the ring due to term limits is Mayor Ben Nelson of Bonita Springs. He served 8 years as downtown redevelopment and other exciting improvements in Bonita got underway. And there are council members in Naples and Bonita Springs leaving the ring, the Dee Suliks and Janet Marnitz of the local government scene among them. Thank you. Then there were a few knockouts. In the Naples Merrill race, John Sorey and Teresa Heitman lost to Bill Barnett. Whether you were for 'em or against 'em, let's at least tip our hat to them for their willingness to serve. Ditto for Bonita Springs, where Councilman Steve McIntosh lost the mayor's race to Peter Simmons. Thanks for fighting the good fight. Now, it's on to round 3 in busy fall primary ballots in Collier and Lee counties. There will be candidates you like and those you don't, but let's at least pause to give our thanks to their willingness to put on the gloves. That's what I'm thinking. Join in the conversation at naplesnews.com.
Thanks, Alan. If you'd like to add your thoughts on this or any other topic, we invite you to write us a letter or leave us a comment on our Facebook page. The investigative series Free to Flee is continuing to play out. Our multimedia effort took issue with delays in arrests that gave time for suspected drunk drivers involved in fatal crashes to hit the road without facing justice. This week, we hosted a DUI forum, gathering key players in one place to answer your questions. The mother of a woman killed in a DUI crash, a local defense attorney, a former state trooper, just a few of the panelists who came to share their perspectives and hear what you had to say. Naples Daily News hosted the DUI forum in our studio, providing a chance to see and hear from people touched by tragedy.
Our families went through, a very rough time, and the delays, our case now has been going on for over 4 years. There's no trial date set as yet, and there's all sorts of delays. The defendant did flee for a while, and that's why he today is in jail, because of fleeing. It wasn't because of the accident. They set an extremely low bond for him. There was damage. My son-in-law was also injured in the accident. There was property damage, and the total bond was $20,000 for the life of 2 women plus 4 other charges. They ascribed a value for each woman at $8,750. He bonded out the next day. And of course, I was naive, when this all first occurred. I never knew that they weren't arrested immediately. I did not know that they just could go on with their life and still drive on this state roads. And until he was actually put in jail, it was a big concern of mine that he may hurt somebody else, and that another family would have to go through this horrible experience that we were going through.
It takes time to complete the depositions. It takes time to complete the motions that need to be filed. I think the frustration comes many times from the families when things are postponed because they haven't been done timely. A good example is this case, where this poor lady has waited for someone to call her back for 7 weeks. Those are the kinds of things that the family gets very frustrated about because there's no one talking to them and explaining to them the process.
Up next, a week of living on the edge for Dunk City. We check in with March Madness and all the fun at FGCU. That story is coming up, so don't go away. From the Heartbreak Kids to a heart-stopping loss, both the men's and women's basketball teams at FGCU were in it to win it. Moving forward started with the ASUN tournaments. On both sides, the outcomes were unexpected. The Lady Eagles were flying high, enjoying a strong season of play, only to get tripped up in their conference championship game. The stunning loss left them outside the NCAA postseason tournament, but the women's team was able to spin into postseason play, participating in the WNIT. The men's team is another story altogether. After a slow start, they finished the season strong, winning the ASUN championship and getting an automatic bid to the big show. That's the good news. The downside, they just made the bubble and had to play their way into the full tournament, which they did. Our sports team has been all over this story, game to game, following the action on and off the courts. Here's the latest on Dunk City's return to glory from Adam Fisher.
The buzz is back at Florida Gulf Coast University thanks to the men's basketball team's recent run to the NCAA tournament. Every spring, March Madness takes over the sports world as 68 college basketball teams compete for the national championship, and this year FGCU was front and center when the madness began. The Eagles won the Atlantic Sun Conference Championship to receive an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. When the Big Dance, as it's known, kicked off, FGCU was in the first and only game Tuesday evening, playing in front of a national TV audience. The Eagles didn't disappoint. Playing in the NCAA's first 4 round of play-in games in Dayton, Ohio, number 16 seed FGCU earned a 31-point victory over Fairleigh Dickinson to advance in the tournament. 3 years ago, the NCAA tournament put Florida Gulf Coast University on the map. Few people outside of Southwest Florida had heard the letters FGCU until the men's basketball team pulled a pair of shocking upsets in the Big Dance. In March of 2013, the Eagles were the biggest sports story in the country when they became the first number 15 seed to advance to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. Once again, the students have bought into Dunk City, the nickname FGCU earned for its high-flying style of play in 2013. Many of these students weren't here for the Sweet 16 run, when this year's seniors would have been just freshmen. The raucous student section at Alico Arena, dubbed the Dirty Birds, has been jam-packed all season, and FGCU routinely played in front of sellout crowds of more than 4,500 fans this season. While FGCU might not enjoy the same national exposure this year, the school hopes to see similar benefits around campus as in 2013. After the Eagles' historic run 3 years ago, FGCU saw a massive increase in student applications, donations, and merchandise sales. The school's bookstore saw a 1,400% increase in sales in March of 2013. It's too early to tell what lasting effects this year's March Madness run will have at FGCU, a school still less than 20 years old. However, judging from the excitement on campus and around town, the Dunk City signs, the t-shirts, the sellout crowds, this year's men's basketball team is generating positive returns for a growing university.
While we were out at FGCU's campus, we thought it appropriate to grab a street beat. Since their team is the Eagles, we challenge people to share their thoughts on the team in the form of a verbal tweet, hashtags and all.
The season was great. We had so much excitement here. I happen to live near some of the basketball players, and it was really cool being around them the entire season, and I think the entire school is pumped for them to be in the tournament. Hashtag Dunk City, we out here, let's go.
Congrats on making it to the tournament, and hashtag another Cinderella story.
Been real exciting. North Carolina, we're coming for you, and we're going all the way. Hashtag Dunk City, hashtag lit.
Remaking history and hashtag soaring expectations. Wings up.
I don't know about a North Carolina, but we got Dunk City here. Woo! Go Eagles!
I just want to say that I'm so proud of our team. Dunk City is back. Hashtag Dunk City. Wings up.
If you need a pick-me-up, try this one on. We won't go there with the spin, but we're playing some music recorded in our studio. The Everglades Barbershop Chorus brought their taffy-colored blazers, black fedoras, and perfect harmony together for a session. Down by the riverside, oh yeah, I'm gonna be with my baby. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, gonna be with my baby. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Then I'll take her little hand just so she will understand what I have got to say. I'm gonna whisper I love you. If she says I love you too, I'll ask her to name the day. Then I'll marry my baby down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna marry my baby down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Then I'll take her little hand just so she will understand what I have got to say. I'm gonna whisper I love you. If she says I love you too, I'll ask her to name the
down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, go and marry my baby. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, riverside.
That wraps up this edition of Behind the Headlines, Southwest Florida's only local news magazine. You can rewatch or share this show by going to naplesnews.com or liking us on Facebook. I'm Amy Osher. See you back here next week.
I just want to say that I'm so proud of our team. Dunk City is back. Hashtag Dunk City. Wings up.